customers probably don't give a shit if you get satisfaction. They want the satisfaction.
Maybe.
It sucks
I know,
to
but
think of
that's
like
what I'm
that.
saying, though.
But
Like, what would I do? I don't know.
you could paint a house
You think
or
so?
a bridge in Pompano.
A bridge in Pompano. Imagine that. My God.
Where's the artwork? What do you mean? It's green. The whole thing. It's green.
You guys said you wanted my vision of Pompano. It's a black
Where's your
bridge.
imagination, man? If I would have painted a fish, it defeats the purpose. Now I'm making you work for it. It could be anything you want.
So, I'd like to I'd like to welcome my very dear friend, Robert Fly Navarro.
Welcome, Dennis. Couple months late.
This was supposed to be our Christmas episode that we do every year.
We always do the Christmas episode.
I found myself in the hospital
the day we were supposed to do this.
So we're like, whatever, not happening. You had to go to Colorado the next week, and then so we're like, all right, so we'll make up for it. So here's our making up day.
Well, listen, you almost didn't want to do that because you went back to the hospital.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to get my procedure done, but anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. I do want to bring that up. So anyway, welcome to the Connect to My Water podcast, powered by Joey Hardy Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and fueled by our very good friends at Papa's PLR Rum, who remind you never to be a spectator. I'm your host, Dennis Friel, along with my very good friend and guest, Fly Navarro.
Welcome.
And I'd like to also give a shout out to the W Sauce and Finor Sunglasses for their continued support. And I really want to say one thing about the W Sauce real quick is that Liz could not find the W Sauce this weekend, and she just about tore the house apart looking for it. She was going crazy. She was very upset at me for no reason for the W Sauce not being able to be found. So
you want to know,
she was having withdrawals.
This is a funny part. Your wife just sent me a friend request on Facebook.
Stop it.
After how long
you guys
have
aren't
I
Facebook friends yet?
Not well. We are now.
What?
That's the thing that's so funny.
No.
I just assumed we were.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yes.
That's crazy.
I think this morning I woke up and I'm like, Liz.
She probably realized it too. She probably was like, "What?
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it till I got the friend request.
That's crazy." So, all right, listen, I'm going to bring up, before we get into it, I want to bring up our do-gooder of the week, our Starbright do-gooder of the week, because we haven't, we took a couple weeks off there due to my procedure and emergency and all that stuff like that.
Sucks getting old.
Yeah, it does suck getting old. Right? But you got to take care of yourself.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, that's the one thing that I've learned throughout this whole thing. It's like, don't sleep on the whole taking care of yourself thing.
Yeah, no. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, I'd like to, actually. The do-gooder for this week is Eleni Bose. And Eleni is an awesome lady who lives in the Merritt Island community who has fished for 20-plus years in the many tournaments that they put on. She also has a granddaughter who she's teaching to keep our world clean. So she got to love that. So they're doing their part as being good stewards of the environment, cleaning up their act in their local area and being an inspiration to others. So she's definitely on Team Do-Gooder. So the Starbright Do-Gooder of the week is Eleni Bose. So congratulations, Eleni. You get the Starbright bucket full of fun stuff.
Big shout out
right
to
there,
Eleni.
which is got the environmentally friendly salt off and citrus cleaner, degreaser, the boat wash, the reggae sponge, and about $200 worth of other items in this bucket, which will be sent to you.
Big shout out to you.
Directly from Starbright.
Actually, the part of the story that catches me is that she does it with her daughter.
Yeah.
I think it's, in my tournaments, I never give out top angler awards, but I do give out.
Don't?
No, I don't. The only thing I give out top awards for is top junior and top lady anglers, because I love top female anglers because of the fact that if the moms are fishing,
they're on top.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
I didn't know it was that kind of podcast. Well, if we're going to go down that route.
Well, I don't know.
No.
I spoke out of turn.
When you get moms fishing, you get all the kids fishing.
Yes.
You get dad fishing, dad fishes. But if you get moms fishing, the whole family fishes.
Whole family goes.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's why I'm such a big proponent hey, can I have a little bit more volume in here?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The
That goes back to that age thing. I can't see shit.
Yeah,
and I can't
a little
hear
bit.
shit.
Well, it's an interesting thing you said that about your tournaments, and we've talked about it on the show so many times. You know, you've been here, all the tournaments that you do, and your ever-growing platform of that too. So, like, anything new going on since then?
Well,
you've been here.
We got tons of stuff going on new. I cut off some tournaments this year, just some of the loose fat. But that was because I have a project I've been working on for 2.5 years. And everybody knows once I left boating or once I left fishing full time, I started playing in the social media world. So I knew a long time ago that I did not want to be an employee of my social media platform. I didn't want to constantly work on creating content. As much as I love making content, I wanted to own the platform. And I've done a couple of things to do that. But just here recently, we've just launched a new streaming platform to compete with Netflix. I think we were talking about it on Friday.
Yep.
It started off with somebody asking me and my business partner if we'd be interested in creating a fishing channel, a streaming channel. And we said, sure. So we started streaming some fishing content. Then we got asked to do USA Diving's content. From there, we went to USA Wakeboarding and Water Skiing. When everything's said and done right now, we have 11 of the national gaming boards, which are any of the USA teams, USA Diving, USA Handball, Quad Ball, cornhole is now a Olympic sport.
Come on.
Yeah, cornhole is now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been training for so many years. There's hope.
Listen, if you really want to, I can hook a brother up.
I'm good.
I can hook a brother up. We're actually, with one of my other businesses, we're trying to get some of these qualifying events into the military.
Really?
As well, yeah, so the military members can qualify for the Olympics.
So your platform is beyond enthusiast water sports.
It's beyond just fishing. We have a comedy. It's not Comedy Central. It's called Comedy On. We've got signed Alex Raimundo and the Latin Kings of Comedy, Ron White and the Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Wow.
We got Cedric the Entertainer. We've got a lot of different comedians on that side, and then we sign the Bob Marley family. Heritage, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Or is it just to have their own channel?
They're going to have their own channel. It's going to be called Island Vibes. It's kind of like a whole reggae-based channel.
Right.
With all their world tours they do around the world. So we've already signed them to a contract. So we don't have the reggae channel up and running yet. We had a soft launch last Friday.
Right.
So we are in the iOS store and the Android Google Play Store. We also have our web platform up and running, and then now we are waiting to go into the Roku, Amazon Prime, LG, Samsung TV Plus, and Apple Television.
So how does that work? You're basically sharing content, like, from your platform to theirs, and
well, the way Roku does.
I mean, you don't have to get into the financials or anything.
No,
I just want to know the logistics of it.
So Roku, what they do is they sell out different apps inside their Fire Stick, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
Same thing with LG and Samsung TV Plus. If you got a smart TV, you can open it up, look on the bottom. It's gonna.
Yeah, no, for sure. But the Apple TV is different though, like, because that's like their app.
Correct.
Right. So, but you're specifically sharing content within that app.
We're going to be sharing content within that app.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So by the time everything is said and done, just with the basics, we're going to have access to somewhere around 320 to 330 million homes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Good for you.
Yeah. The base of it, and the most important for me anyway, is the fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can help create a platform to put out the content for the sport that I love the most, why not help other sports?
Sure.
While we're at it. So that's why we've expanded like that. And then just today we opened up our studio up in Fort Pierce on the campus of Indian River State College.
What are you doing in the studio?
I believe we have 4 podcast studios.
Mm-hmm.
We also have 2 studios to shoot commercials. With all of these different NGBs, we can help them create content, help them create podcasts. But it's also our switchboard. So, excuse me. Our first 2 live events we're going to be having is going to be the regional USA water ski team. And then the spring regionals for USA diving. They're going to be diving in, I believe, 8 different locations.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to beam back all the live streams back to our studio, have a color commentator in the studio, and then we'll send the live stream back to our platform.
Wow, interesting.
Which I think is kind of great. At least for me, it makes my brain spin to think of, well, the tournament world, how many tournaments there are every weekend.
Yeah.
Something we could do on fishing where people know what's going on with up to the minute stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting because there's such competition. Like, I often think about it like, man, not often, but every now and then I'll think about it. Like, man, if I were to ever come up with my own tournament for God knows whatever reason, right? I'm not going to, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? What freaking weekend would I pick? Because in Florida, at least, it's like every weekend it's packed with especially in the summer, because everyone can't swing a dead cat without hitting a mahi tournament in the summer.
Well, look at the winter. You got a sailfish tournament every single weekend from December all the way into March,
right?
April. I mean, my tournaments in Chubb, they overlap with the final sale. It also overlaps with the Key West Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. You got to find your market that you're trying to make happy, and focus on that.
Right.
I mean, at least that's the way I do it. I'm not trying to I don't want to take off anybody's table, but I'm looking for a certain market that people want to participate in a Blue Marlin tournament close to home. Chubb, who's my partner, Chubb Key Marina and Resort is my partner on it. So my biggest thing is just to promote their location.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make it look as best as possible. So that's my primary goal, and to walk out of there with a bunch of content and a bunch of happy fishermen.
Sure.
That's my biggest goal.
Yeah, I think most people would look at it like that too, where like they don't want to start a tournament that's going to you'd be accused of taking away a fisherman from other. Everyone, I think, would be happy if like I can come up with a tournament that creates my little niche and doesn't really affect other tournaments, and and everything is great. But sometimes it's not possible.
Listen, you're going to step on toes.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is I put on a tournament mainly to create content.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I do it. I create content to promote the location.
Right.
And it helps me get involved with everybody else. The marina's happy. The Board of Tourism for the Bahamas is happy. I give everybody a Dropbox filled with pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Use them as you wish.
Yeah.
As we all know, everything right now is based on content.
Right.
It keeps every machine.
Well, it's a content-driven world.
That's what people don't understand.
Yeah. They don't, and that's from an artist perspective. Sometimes that's a big struggle, for an artist, and at least one that creates work that takes time.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, it's not to be able to continually stimulate your audience, or that's always the challenge.
If I've had this, I hate to call it an argument, but I've had this argument quite often. When you pull up to a traffic light, look left and look right. And you tell me how many people you see looking at a TV, a magazine.
Oh, sure.
Or a book. Nobody, but everybody's looking at their phone.
Yeah.
So if you're not creating something for those people, they're looking at something else.
Yeah. No, it's true.
That's the way I look at it. So let's create something for somebody sitting on a traffic light.
That sounds horrible, though.
It sounds horrible, but...
it's true, though.
But it's so true.
That's why I have the clip-on thing on my AC vent. So the phone is like right there. And I can, if I'm at a light, I just look at it right there and I don't miss anything, because if anything happens, rather than like looking down. That's bad.
I was driving home the other night. Traffic's moving along pretty good at about 60 miles an hour, and there's a car doing 40. I'm like, what is going on with this person? I pull up next to him. They're looking at their phone.
Yep. I say that to Liz all the time when you're just that dude in the middle lane. She's like, "What's this asshole doing?" I'm like, "He's looking at his phone." Sure enough, we'll pull up to him and
looking at their phone.
Yep. Anytime you see that guy lagging with no traffic around,
it's like you're killing me.
Yep, for sure.
You know?
Well, listen, I'm proud of you for creating that. I know you've been talking about that and working real hard on that for the longest time.
It's
man.
been 2.5 years.
Finally coming to fruition. And are you able to say the name of it yet?
Oh, absolutely. It's RTH TV, which stands for Rock the Harbor. Nice. So my business partner in it is in the music business. Mm-hmm. So hence the rock. Right. And then the harbor is me. So the actual logo has a blue marlin playing a guitar.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
We started Rock the Harbor during COVID, and then we spun off RTH from it. So we've been having a great time. I've lost a little bit of hair, and
I can imagine.
And the hair that I have has turned a little gray because of it.
And we talked about that the other night when we saw each other at the Billfish Foundation Tag and Release Award ceremony about the burnout stuff, and you know what I mean. Like burnout's a real thing, and I could speak to it.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's alive and well here at Connected by Water. I mean, we work really hard. We do a lot of things, and I often get accused of taking on too much.
You and me both.
Yeah. So, and that's I think where the correlation comes in is like, you know, we had empathy for each other there in that moment. So it's like I saw the look in your eye, you saw the look in my eye, and it's like, yeah.
What? Now I've been caught a couple times where I'm like, okay, I know I have too much on my plate. Let's shave off some fat. And I've done it this year. I literally I cut out all my traveling in January and February. Now I've still done a couple little trips. Mm-hmm. I did some trade shows. I went to SHOT Show, ran into Tiny out there.
Again?
Yeah. I'm helping a group of guys build a shooting range. Okay. So I had to fly out there and introduce them to all the engineers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I just came back from the Great American Outdoor Expo in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Have you ever done that one?
No.
It is. They say it's the largest outdoor expo
in Harrisburg.
Yeah, it's
really
NRA puts it on there. It's a 14-day.
NRA puts it on.
NRA.
Oh, then it's got to be big.
It's huge. It's huge. It's hunting and fishing and boating and everything outdoor imaginable.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool as shit.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool. They get a lot of people there. I mean,
a ton of people.
More than like the boat shows here? Or?
I don't know what numbers are comparable, but if you think that a boat show here is 3 or 4 days and that one's almost 14.
14 days?
Yeah.
A public show?
A public show. It's a marathon, not a sprint, man.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What's the name of this show?
The Great American Outdoor Expo.
Yeah, apparently they named it appropriately.
Oh, it's great. Are you familiar? Well, actually, right here on the same road as you guys, Southern Boating. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's who I go with. I go with their sister company is All Sports Productions. So the last couple of years they've asked me to join them, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. The only thing this year I spent more time on Zoom meetings than I did walking the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well,
did you go for the full 2 weeks?
No. We went in on Tuesday, flew out on Friday. I
was going to say
I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, I was going to say that's dedication if you did. But.
No, and I got to give it to Clayton. Clayton is the operations manager there at All Sports. He's the one that goes around, talks to everybody, and I'm just Sideshow Bob, man. I'm just Sideshow Bob. Hey,
so how many shows were you going to, you think?
In a year?
Yeah. Because you're always traveling all over the place.
Well,
and your frequent flyer miles is probably pretty impressive.
I average about 200,000 miles a year.
All right.
On average. During COVID, it fell to about 100. Mm-hmm. That's because I had to stay in the continental U.S. But last year, 2022, I did 3 trips to Japan. Mm-hmm. I did 1 trip overseas to the Middle East. I fished a tournament in Dubai. Mm-hmm. So
shout out to Saeed there.
Big shout out to Saeed. I saw him while I was there. I was fishing with my friends from Saudi Arabia, but if I'm in Dubai, I can't stop in Dubai and not say hello to Saeed.
We got a lot of love for Saeed here.
Saeed's good dude, man.
So
He's a great dude.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of stuff in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my other businesses I have, where I'm trying to get Papa's Pilar involved, we're just dealing with the government's a pain.
Sure.
As you know.
Sure as I know.
One of my companies we supply food and beverage.
I need to clarify this, though, because if you say dealing with the government could be a pain, as I know, I don't have any problems with the government. I'm an artist for the United States Mint, and I have to deal with the government. What's that?
You have to say that into your phone so they can hear you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Siri.
So, anyway.
No, and I just say it's a pain because there's so many levels.
I don't have government problems, I swear.
You got 99 problems, but the government ain't one. No, it's just there's so many levels of things you got to do properly. And
yeah.
That's what I'm constantly going through.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about too much of it, but
that's fine.
All I can say is dealing with the government's no joke.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're very serious about what they do.
Absolutely, and I'm not saying it disparagingly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not just like, hey, let's go fishing on Saturday,
right?
Or hey, I want to go to St. Thomas this summer. There's proper steps that you have to take to go about and doing it.
For sure.
And it's
you are all over the board.
I don't like sitting still.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a lot going on. You are all over the board.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think over the years, I've really, like, when we opened this up and we said, no, we're going to be dedicated. I hesitate to call myself a marine life artist, because we do other things that it's broader than that. You know what I mean? But I wanted to keep it to water. Right, so at the very least, just keep it encompassed to water and say this is our swim lane. This is where we're staying. Just because even before I was doing so many other things, I was still working a lot in the music business and designing all the CD covers and doing all the stuff like that. And I kind of shedded that. And you're talking about shedding the fat. We've done a lot of that in the past couple of years about carving out things that we thought would be successes that we're like, well, it's more anchors than successes, and we gotta drop anchor and move on. And so we've, I think, found ourselves in a pretty good spot now about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And I think it's healthy to understand that. I mean, not only as a human being in your life, but as a business owner.
Yeah.
It's really, really healthy to understand what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing.
Where you need to cut.
Yeah, because if you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, it not only you shouldn't be doing it, but that can really hold you back, or it can actually ruin you at the end of the day.
I know with me, a lot of things, especially because of the amount of reach that I have, and that's where people. I was just having a discussion. I've been asked to. We haven't finalized yet, so I don't want to say the group anyway at the moment. But I've been asked to be on another conservation group, and their whole reasoning is my reach, and it's not the reach that you see in front of the camera that most of these companies see. They see the reach that I have behind the camera. The fact that I can pick up the phone and call people,
right?
Call the owner of a company and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, hey, Fly, what's happening? Hey, we're looking at doing this. Is this something you want to be a part of? Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. And that's why I have my hands in so many different things.
Right.
Because sometimes it's just making a phone call and helping somebody out, and sometimes it's, I'm going to connect you guys, but I want to stay with it. I want to stay in this deal a little bit in whatever capacity I can do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I brought it up, the whole wide range of things, is just because it's just so fresh in my mind because we were just there Friday night. Is I want to talk while you're here. I want to talk about the Billfish Foundation because you're on the board.
Correct.
Of the Billfish Foundation. You're the MC of the Tag and Release awards the other night, and I know Ellen thinks the world of you, as do all of us. But I want to really, at least while you're here, put some focus on talking about the Billfish Foundation, some of the great things that they do, some of the new things that they're doing. I know there's a new satellite tag this year. That's more aerodynamic, number one, more compact, and Can you take me through some of the new programs that they're building right now?
So let's take one step back and then we'll go forward.
Sure.
Which people don't, if they do or don't understand the Billfish Foundation. The Billfish Foundation is a conservation group. It's not an environmental group.
Correct.
And there's a huge difference on that.
I think when we had Ellen on with Bouncer to talk about shark depredation, I think she drove that nail home.
Okay.
Definitely.
And as long as she did, because this other conservation group that I've been talking about, they were throwing the two words around equally, and I'm like,
well, no, listen,
there's a big difference between conservation and environmental.
Yeah, but there is, but it's not our fault that word got changed over time, because we've talked about this on the show, and I want the term environmentalism to not be misconstrued any longer, because I think it's gotten a little bit out of hand, because I think that word's been hijacked.
It has been hijacked
over time, and I think it became an extreme thing, right? From one side of the aisle.
Correct.
And that word got hijacked as a sense of pride, and I really disagree, because if you think about the term environmentalism, I like the term. I just don't like how the term's been used.
That's why I'm so stubborn in saying it's a conservation group.
I think for sure. I think that I don't think it might be too late for the word to ever come back.
Yeah.
But I really would love to see them come closer and more synonymous, because I think the term environmentalism needs to be viewed more as a conservative. Conservation.
And I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but there has been a hijacking of the word. And listen, if you want to jump on that horse and try to bring that word back,
We're trying. We are actually trying.
I'll support you 100%. But as of right now, most people look at environmentalists so different than conservationists.
Yep.
And environmentalists are people. Let me not even throw it as people, because now we're making it tribal. The word has become that if you're an environmentalist, you just want all the people gone.
Right.
Don't use it anymore. Don't use the resource anymore. Where conservation is, you're using the resource. How do we protect that resource?
Using it responsibly.
Exactly.
Right.
And
I think environmentalism should be viewed that way.
It should be.
Right.
But unfortunately,
because I think for the way that they use the word now, there needs to be a different word in its place that's more extreme. Sorry.
No. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just I got enough fights going.
I hear you.
And really, you touched on my biggest fight I have going on right now is the shark depredation.
Mm-hmm.
I have been at the forefront of that, and that I got to kind of tip my hat to Pat Price.
100%.
He's the one that started it. He brought me on board to help him reach everybody on Facebook. We created the page. We included Doug Coven on it. And after the shark tournaments this year, just because of the fact that there were so many death threats going around,
mm-hmm.
People were getting threatened. Their lives were getting threatened, their wives, their kids. I'm like, you know what? If somebody's going to speak, let me speak. I don't have any children. I'm not married. So nobody knows where I live. I'm not worried about it. You know, this is something I believe in. And here's the thing. I'm not asking for people to kill sharks. That's never been my thing. The only thing I've ever said is we're starting. I don't even think we got a problem yet. I think we're starting to get to a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if our government doesn't start looking at it, then it's going to be a really big problem. So I don't mind standing on the corner banging my drum and talking about it. And this is not a silver bullet issue. There's not one thing that's
far
going to
from
fix
it.
Not even close. This is a multifaceted.
It's a foundational issue.
Man, it's even more than that.
You need to just change the foundation of thought on it.
You got to change the thought on it. You got to create a market for it. You have to. Now they just passed the shark fin ban, so nowhere in this country can you sell shark fins. Which it doesn't sound very dangerous, but here's the thing: anybody that's a commercial shark fisherman, they can't sell the fins. Well, if you catch a fish and you harvest the fish and now you've taken this fish's life, you should be able to sell everything. Don't throw anything to waste. It's wasteful. I can't speak for other states, but I know in the state of Florida, if you harvest an animal and you don't consume it, you don't use it, you can get a ticket for it. So literally right now, they've just passed laws that say you have to throw away a perfectly good part of an animal. And
for optics.
Yeah,
everyone sees those old videos of Japan cutting off the fins and throwing the fuselage of the fish in the water. You know,
that wasn't Japan. It was off the coast of Africa where the video came from.
There were some Asian countries doing it too. Maybe I was out of step for saying Japan. There might be.
Well, originally the Asian country that makes the shark fin soup is China.
Right.
So that's why it gets. And listen, I'm not saying that there wasn't Japanese fishermen, but the video that everybody sees of the shark on the bottom with no fins still alive is off Africa. And my argument with senators and congressmen and everybody up and down the ladder has been, the moment you ban these fins, you've just increased the value on the black market.
Right.
Because we are a heavily regulated fishery.
The United States,
yes,
not even just a fishery, but in every aspect of environmentalism or conservation, we are the best country in the world when it comes to this. We are the most responsible country in the world when it comes to this. We're not the problem. We are far from the problem. And this goes down to any environmental issue, whether it be pollution, water quality. We are not the issue. If we have a water quality issue in this country, and we do have water quality issues in this country.
We have a water quality issue here in the state of Florida.
100%. And Flint, Michigan and all that. But when we do, we put a focus on it, and we try to fight it, and we try to do something about it. But if you look at other countries, name names, India, whatever. I could sit there and name other countries all day, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. You see the pictures of the mud flowing and the shitty rivers and all the trash in there, and kids are dipping their buckets in there and bringing it home to try to filter it however way they can. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. We do more for this planet than any other nation. I'm telling you, it's true.
It is.
Just simply because of our size compared to our effort. Like you could say, and Australia might be more environmentally friendly. New Zealand might be more. New Zealand's got 5 million people in it. Broward and Data, 5 million people alone, right? Australia is 28 million people in Australia. 22 million people in the entire state of Florida alone. I mean, we're at 300 and something million people in this country, 330, whatever it is.
I think it's 360.
Is it 360 now?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to our size, we're doing more than any other nation is on the planet.
We're doing a lot.
Yeah.
We are doing a lot, and there's a lot of browbeating that goes on that we should do more.
Right. So the rest of everything else we're talking about is overreach.
There is a lot of overreach.
Right.
There is a lot of overreach. And a lot of this shark fin issue is, honestly, you're trying to get people to change their customs and traditions in a different country by regulating us over here.
Right.
Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with it. So that's a whole different fight. My fight right now is to keep this depredation issue at the top of the discussion board, because at some point it's going to become a tourism problem and not just a fisheries problem.
So where are we at with it since the last that I have known of, since the bill got passed? Has anything changed?
The bill just got passed in December.
Right.
So, and just for people that aren't aware, it got snuck into the defense bill. It wasn't the omnibus bill that made the news. Everybody was talking about that $1.7 trillion omnibus bill. It was in the defense package that was, I think it was right before that.
Don't you hate when they hide those things in other packages?
They just hide it. They just slip it in there. That's all that pork fat and all that. It's stupid.
There should be a law against that.
There should be a law against that.
The only thing in the bill should be what the title of the bill says.
That's it. Well, here's the thing. They put the title of the bill to make it sound like it's one thing, and it's not even close to that.
Right.
I mean, the more and more I see of government, the crazier it is. You know, the stop the inflation bill. Well, why are we spending more money if we're trying to stop inflation?
Right.
Inflation
Let's
is
spend money to stop inflation.
Yeah, inflation is spending too much money, man. It just doesn't make sense. It's like giant shrimp. It's an oxymoron.
Billfish Foundation. That's where we got started talking about this. So talk to me about that.
Okay, so the Billfish Foundation. First of all, for anybody that doesn't know Ellen Peel, when you meet her, she is just a beautiful Southern woman, a Southern lady. She is the sweetest that can be, but she is a fucking pit bull.
Oh, she's a spitfire, that's for
Let
sure.
me tell you something. There's one thing that lady stands for, and that's protecting the billfish in our oceans. First, foremost, that's it. She is unbelievable. She called me up the other day. She says, hey, I see that the governor sent out a letter requesting you to be on another board, and would you like me to write you a letter? And I'm like, well, I put you down as a reference. I didn't assume I was going to need a letter, but if you want to write a letter for me, okay. So she did, and she wrote up a beautiful email letter recommending me for this new board, and she'll do anything to protect our oceans. She really will, and that's what people don't understand. And I don't even want to guess what Ellen's age is, but I know she's been with the Billfish Foundation going on about 30 years.
Yeah.
I've been involved probably about 20, doing different things. Only in the last few years have I started. Once I went into business for myself, did I start donating, and then in the last couple of years, I've been on the board of directors.
It's such a great organization.
It's a phenomenal organization.
It really is. I mean, and it's funny because, I can't remember who I was talking to the other night, but I said to them, I said, man, look around this room. This is a really great room of people.
It's a phenomenal
room. And then who I was talking to, I can't remember who it was. He says, it's a very tip of the spear room.
That's it.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand, if you're making money, if you're a boat captain, a deckhand, own a boat, if you're fishing any of the sailfish tournaments or white marlin tournaments or blue marlin tournaments, or just enjoy going out there, I think membership is like $35.
Yeah, it's not that much.
You should be a member, if for nothing else, when somebody like Ellen calls out for help saying, we need signatures to write our congressperson or write our senator. Spend the $35.
Just spend $35 just to support the organization.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean,
they're the ones that are going out there.
That's how they survive.
Exactly. They're the ones that are going out there fighting for your right to go catch blue marlins. If people knew how many people were trying to get us to stop catching fish, and they realized how much work that the Billfish Foundation was doing to make sure not only that we're allowed to catch those fish, but that there's a fish out there for us to catch, people would give hundreds of dollars.
Right.
But people don't understand it. And listen, I get it. I'm not going to get on a soapbox and tell people what to do. I mean, I started doing stuff with the Billfish Foundation because I was making my living off of it. And even to now, that's why I'm a board member, and I'm getting ready to get on my 4th federal council, because us as fishermen need a fisherman to speak for us. I don't get paid to go to any of these boards. I go because I know I don't want a teacher. I don't want a scientist trying to make up rules.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when Art comes in, he talks about it all the time because he's on a lot of these, platforms as well. And it's the scientists that go, oh, no, I'm not catching any sharks. And it's like, well, you're not in the right depth of water, buddy.
I got a story for you.
I mean, do you know how to catch them and where to catch them?
I got a better story for you. You really want to get upset. We were talking to...
I love getting upset.
We were talking to... I can't remember if it was a fisherman. I think it was a longliner. They had a scientist on board. I want to say they were fishing off North Carolina, but don't hold me to it. They were fishing the same area every year. This was year number 3. And they were getting ready to set their long line. And the captain said, hey, listen, the sharks are about 3 miles up the beach. They haven't come all the way down. They're like, no, we have to set it right here in the spot. Well, there's no sharks here. The sharks haven't moved here yet. As a fisherman, we know certain conditions, they might show up a week later, they might show up 2 weeks early, they might not show up at all, they might go offshore. This fisherman said, listen, they're 3 miles up the beach, let's just move. And the scientists said, no, we have to keep the data exactly the same. So they set the long line and caught nothing. And you wasted all this money on just keeping everything consistent when we know nothing about fishing is consistent.
Definitely not.
Nothing is consistent. You have to
Definitely
be
not when I fish.
The only thing that's constant is the fish, and they always change.
Right.
The weather's not consistent. The water's not consistent. But listen, I get it. Scientists do it a certain way. They have to keep all the parameters the same. That part I get. But it doesn't always come out for the best outcome of data and information.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's such a tough fight.
It is.
It has been a tough fight. I mean, we've been fighting it for, a good chunk of years now, and people are now just hearing about it, or now just, and it's getting worse. And
listen, it's getting worse, but it's also getting better. I mean, there's a lot of things that I see that when I was growing up, I mean, we're the same age, so I'm 50. And I remember it was a big deal if you caught 5 sailfish in a day.
Right.
Now, you catch 5 sailfish in a day and you just went fishing.
Right.
So there's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of things.
Well, definitely. I mean, especially around here, I mean, the normality of kite fishing has just become so, dialed in. Oh. And the knowledge is spread across so many people at this point that banner days happen way more often than not now.
Way more. The funny part that I love, I've been a historian of our sport ever since I started. And it seems like every 3 or 4 years you hear somebody, oh, this is a new record. And it's like, it's a new record for the history in your head.
Right.
But there was guys that were catching that many way before me. And way before there was Facebook and cell phones and all this other stuff. So even the tournament that I put on, the World Cup, sometimes it used to take you 2 weeks to find out who the winner was. Now, there was a couple of years ago, the first year we had $1 million winner, the winners knew they won before I knew they won, because one of the deckhands, his brother, was in Hawaii watching the fish get weighed, and they were FaceTiming him, and it didn't make minimum. And so he knew about it before I did.
Really?
Yeah. Which is great.
Sure. Well, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's phenomenal.
Definitely.
Even when at World Cup headquarters, my first or second year, everybody's like, man, it's a slow day of fishing. I'm like, why do you say that? Well, the phone hasn't rung. I'm like, my phone hasn't stopped. It's all text messages and WhatsApp messages. And last year's winner came in through Instagram. I got a text message from Olaf on Instagram to tell me that my Victoria was hooked up.
It's so amazing, I think, like just the connectivity of the world right now. It blows my mind. The funny thing, I was just talking about this with someone just last night, I think it was, because we were talking about Turkey and Syria and the earthquakes.
Okay, yeah,
that happened, right? And it's just the astronomical number. I'm sure the number has increased, but the last I heard it was 46,000 people dead. And I'm sure it's more than that now. Since 2 days ago, this is the last time I heard the number. And the dude makes a comment. He's like, "Oh man," he's like, "people were always saying that, these things always happen all in the world. We're just hearing about it now because we're so connected and everything like that. And it's like these things would always happen." And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, it's statistically proven that this is the greatest time in the history of the world for human beings to be alive. It's the safest time in the history of the world for human beings. So, you see bad shit across the board. That's just because we're just hearing about it, right? But statistically speaking, this is the greatest time to be alive. It's just that we're all connected. And yeah, we are just hearing about it, but way worse things happened way long ago. Like entire countries would get sacked, like at the drop of a hat. Like you wouldn't believe.
and nobody heard about
the
it.
Mongols and the Persian Empire, and they would just like attack, without warning, and by the millions of people, it just would like run over cities.
You can actually...
That really doesn't happen anymore.
That's one thing. You don't have to you don't have to run out for months on end to go kill an animal to bring food to your family.
Oh, you go way back. Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't even have to be way back, even 200 years ago.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah.
200 years ago is not a long time back in the grand scheme of things.
Didn't have air conditioning up until about 120 years ago, right? And even then, it wasn't really that great.
Exactly.
That's why Florida's the last frontier in the United States.
Because we were hot.
It's because AC wasn't invented. No one wanted to come down here and deal with all the bugs and can't build anything on the sand and everything that creeps and slithers is down here. Right? No one wanted anything to do with it.
Why are you looking at me when you say that creeps and slithers?
Well, you know why I'm looking. Because it's our Cuban Christmas party.
2 months late, just like a Cuban Christmas party, right. Late.
Why are you always late?
Hey, listen, we'll always get there when the coconut hits the bridge, man. Once the coconut gets to the bridge, we'll be there. Coconut will never get there before us. It's hilarious. So, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Okay.
I really am. And if you talked to me a week and a half ago, or even a week ago.
A week ago this time, you were in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you talked to me a week ago, actually a week ago I was just getting out. I'd be shocked to tell you that I'm feeling this good. Because So when we were supposed to have our first episode, I had a really bad episode of what I thought I had GERD, like really bad, extreme reflux for years, 6-7 years. And in the meantime, I had myself checked out every way to Sunday, inside and out, all my organs scanned, colonoscopy, endoscopy. I thought they were going to find Beirut inside my body somewhere, and they never did. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. They did all my blood. Everything is perfect. I'm as healthy as a horse. So I remember it was Dolphins-Chargers Sunday night game.
Oh, that's right. You're a Fins fan.
And yeah, I'm a Fins fan. That's my lot in life.
Sorry.
So I had a really bad episode. It was like I called a level 10 and thumping and bumping and like my stomach's going or whatever like that. It's going up into my chest. I'm thinking it's a gastro issue, not a heart issue. So this was the first time that it lasted all night. Usually it's like 4 hours gone. I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I feel fine. Lasted all through the night. I think I got like 2-3 hours of sleep, bad sleep. Wake up in the morning and I'm still thumping. It's still going. I call my doctor. I'm like, you need to see me now. They're like, oh, we can't fit you in until tomorrow. I'm like, well, then I'm going to go to the ER. They're like, no, come in. So they're like, all right. So I came in. They fit me in. And I'm like, listen, I just got tested every way you could possibly test me, all this stuff. I'm like, this is not what we think it is. It's something else. She goes, lay down on the table. Lay me out on the table. They give me an EKG. And she goes, ooh, I just saw AFib. I don't know what that is. I'm like, okay. She goes, no, not okay. You need to go to the hospital, like right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So they bring me to the hospital. They get me down with medication. I spend all day in the hospital. And they keep me overnight, observation, and they send me home with medication. And in the meantime, now I have my follow-ups, and I have to schedule what's called an ablation for AFib, right? Where they go in through my leg, up there, inside my heart, they operate on my heart, and they send me home the same day. So I got this scheduled for 2 weeks ago, right? So they keep my medication to make sure I'm okay before the procedure, before nothing happens again. I go into my procedure 2 Tuesdays ago, whatever it was, or 2 Tuesdays from tomorrow. And the procedure went great. I talked to the doctor after. He goes, textbook. He goes, I was very happy with the results. You want your doctor to say that after every procedure, right? I was like, all right, great. So he's like, yeah, we're sending you home tonight. So at 8 in the morning, I go in for my procedure. By 5 o'clock, I'm in my kitchen standing, joking with my kids, right? A little bit sore, but that was to be expected. Wednesday, I have a great day. I go to bed that night, and then about 3 in the morning, I wake up with the absolute most atrocious, horrendous pain in my chest that I've ever felt in my entire life. Scared the living shit out of me. I was thinking, okay, maybe it was I have sleep apnea, which happens to be the cause of my AFib, FYI, full disclosure, right? So I get up and I'm like, man, maybe it's just my apnea causing this after the procedure for some reason. I'm going to chill out, let it dissipate, doesn't dissipate, and if anything, it's getting worse. So I wake up my wife. I call my sister who works at the hospital. And at this point, it's like 5 in the morning. I call her. I say, hey, you going to the work today? She's like, yeah, I'm about to leave in about 15 minutes because she goes to work really super early. I'm like, great, come pick me up. So she picks me up, takes me to the ER. They give me an EKG. Everything actually looks okay. And they're like, do you have shortness of breath? I said, no, I don't have any shortness of breath, but I don't want to breathe because every breath is just the most extreme pain. It just amplifies the pain like 10 times every time I take a breath. Imagine living like that for like the next 24 hours. It's horrible. So they do more tests on me, antibiotics, all that, They end up admitting me. They put me on a medicine called colchicine, which is an anti-inflammatory for gout. That's really what's going to get. What I have was pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart, which sucks, but it's not life-threatening. Sucks. So the capital, whatever, it's bad.
S.
Yeah, really horrible. So anyway, so that's what happened to me. In the meantime, all day like that, and slowly, gradually, the medicine's like working as anti-inflammatory. That midnight, I'm like, I start having really bad problems. And I call the nurse in. They give me another EKG, and they didn't like the way that one looked. So I got about 2 hours of horrible sleep that night, right? And then doctors come in the next morning. They're like, we want to give you an angiogram, where they got to put me down again, recath me, go inside me, everything like that. And we will rule out any blockages. So they bring me back down to the cath lab, and they realize I go back into AFib. I'm like, oh my God, right? So the doctor's like, don't worry, we're going to shock him out of it. So I'm down there, strapped to the table, right? I'm saying like some pretty decent prayers, because, whatever, you don't know what's going on. Who knows? I'm going under again. Whatever. Something could happen. I don't know. So I'm just about to go under. They're like, all right, here's your cocktail. They're going to put me down, right? So I start feeling it kick in. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go to sleep. And he goes, we're going to give you the cardio version first. I'm like, wait, do you want me to go to sleep first? He's like, can I go to sleep first? They're like, buddy, it's not going to matter, right? So I'm like, all right. So you hear this thing wear up. 200 joules shock me. Like, I yell, oh, fuck. Super loud. All the nurses started laughing. The doctor started laughing. Don't worry, buddy, we got that sucker. And they did. Instantly, I felt better. I pass out. I wake up. Angiogram's over. I felt great ever since.
Wow.
That's my story. They kept me for another day of observation, so I ended up having to spend that night in the hospital again. They sent me home the next day. I've been on medication, and I'm doing good.
Perfect.
So right now, I feel amazing. I feel better now than I have in the last 6 years.
So this has been going on that long?
Yeah, so it feels like the procedure worked in my mind. I mean, time will tell. It's still got to give it like a few more weeks to really tell like whether or not like it really truly worked. But as of now, it worked. So yeah, dude, I remember being at ICAST like 6 years ago. It's like one of the first times it ever happened. I was at the Costa party. And remember when they had it at the Howl at the Moon?
Oh, at the piano bar.
Yeah, the piano bar, right? So it was there. Like Peter Miller's there, and there's the whole ice thing, whatever. He's like, whatever, in the suit. Anyway, so I remember like being there at the party, in the middle of the party, and feeling this come on, like for the first time. I was like, what the hell is that? I'm like, I got to get out of here, right? So I didn't even have a hotel room. I was going to leave anyway, but I was going to go home that night, and it was only like 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? It's a 3-hour drive. I can make it home by 10. Not that bad, right? So I was going to leave right around that time anyway. I was like, man, I can't even drive home. I'm going to cross the street to the Embassy Suites right there on iDrive. And I'm like, I need a hotel room. They're like, oh, it's ICAST. We're all sold out. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I need a hotel room. I'm not about to go around every hotel. They're like, the guys had sympathy for me. Thank God. He's like, all right, I do have one room available. He's like, I'll give you for the low rate. It's the presidential suite. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like got this huge room on like the top floor, and I just had like the worst night with this thing, and ever since then I had problems with it, but I thought it was GERD.
You didn't think of going to the hospital that night?
I did think about going to the hospital that night, but I'm in Orlando by myself, and I just kind of wrote it out. I shouldn't have. But, yeah. So it's been happening ever since then.
Well, I'm glad you got it taken care of.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of a long story to
That's
tell
not
that
a long story.
on the
That's
podcast, but I don't know. So that's been my issue the whole time. So, and just so now everyone knows, that's what I've been dealing with. But I can tell you that in the last year, things got worse. Like a lot. I was getting this episode like a lot. Like to the point where since I thought it was GERD, I was like popping like a Zantac or a Pepcid AC like before I would even go out to dinner just to make sure nothing would happen. And I realized that all this was just a culmination of the AFib. So I was self-medicating. I was trying to treat it on my own. There's no way to go through life, my friend.
Never have I seen on your name doctor or MD at the end.
But I was going to the doctor, and I was explaining them my symptoms, and my cardiologist told me, he's like, don't blame your doctor. He goes, AFib goes misdiagnosed all the time.
Really?
He goes, it is the most commonly misdiagnosed thing that there is. He goes, because it's hard to catch. Very hard to catch. Like, even on the EKG, like, it's very hard to get lucky and catch it. Some people have to wear, like, a monitor for, like, 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
If they suspect you might have AFib. That's they got to go like that, and they got to wear it, and then they got to turn their monitor, and they got to look through all these months of data to see if you had any blips on the radar.
Oh my God!
Yeah, the fact that they laid me down on that table and found the AFib at the time was like a really stroke of luck. So I'm actually very fortunate to have found this and got it taken care of.
Now, which sister is this? Because I only know your sister, the attorney, Joanna.
The one that works at the hospital.
Yeah.
So I have 4 sisters.
Dear God bless you.
I'm the youngest of 6. I have 4 sisters, my brother, then me. Right? So this is my oldest sister, Mary Jane. So she's the nurse. So she's the one that she's actually, she used to be CNO, Chief Nursing Officer at Florida Medical. And then she downgraded her position to only running an entire floor at Coral Springs Medical. And now she's, moving on in her career and wants to take it easy. So she's only the nursing supervisor of the entire hospital now.
No, I never considered that. You can always step down from stuff. I've never been like that. I've always been, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Once
next? You have that CNO job, it's a very, very tough job. And most people could only do it for a few years, a handful of years. Yeah. Very, very, very demanding job. I mean, there's chief jobs in the world, like COO, CEO, even CEO jobs. CEO jobs, very short-lived
it's
positions.
Not easy.
You can't stay on for too long doing that. Plus, companies change, things change, and you got to change with it.
If you're not able to change, they'll change you.
Yeah. So rather than move on to another CNO job, which she was ready to just pull out her hair, and she just figured she would just enjoy nursing, or the reason why she got into nursing in the first place.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then I have a sister up in Pennsylvania who's retired. She was a male post office supervisor for years. And then my other sister lives in North Carolina, and she's just corporate executive.
Okay.
Yeah, up there. Yeah, she's a very good job. She works for a bank, like corporate offices. So she does well. Yeah. And then my brother, he's a teacher at IMG Academy.
IMG?
Out there in Bradenton. He's the golf coach.
Okay.
Right, and a teacher. So IMG Academy it's a sports high school. And so, like, all the best prospects in the nation go to this school.
Okay.
So they're breeding talent. Like, there's so many kids that are in professionals. So many adults that are in professional sports came out of that high school.
I can believe it.
Like tennis stars and football players, every sport you can imagine.
Anybody that has some kind of intrinsic talent in a sport will go somewhere there where they can hone your skills.
Yeah. So my brother is he's coaching prodigies. So that's what he does there. So
that's
and
cool.
Me, I just paint fish.
It's not as bad as it sounds, man. To this day, people ask me, "Hey, so what do you do?" And I'm just a fisherman.
Right.
My girlfriend will slap me. We'll be at parties. I'm a fisherman. Slaps me.
Yeah.
Tell them what you do.
That's what Liz does. She'll roll her eyes when she'll, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I paint fish."
Yeah, I'm a fisherman.
Yeah.
She goes, tell them all the stuff you do. And
Yeah.
I'm a fisherman. That's how I identify.
You identify as a fisherman?
That's what I've done all my life. To this day, I was talking with somebody even earlier today. When I die, the only thing I want on my tombstone is to say that he was a fisherman. That's all.
Yeah.
You don't even have to say I was good or bad. I don't give a shit. I just want to say I was a fisherman.
I know. I think your tombstone should say crazy Cuban. But...
I think so too. Somebody was talking to me about that today as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're crazy. You're fucking crazy Cuban. I go, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just want to be remembered as a fisherman. If it wasn't for fishing, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
It's my passion for this sport. I love this sport. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're all here, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? At the end of the day, when we started Connected by Water, we really wanted to put a spotlight on the culture behind it all. And that's really where it comes from. And just the culture of the community, the togetherness of it. And, there's always inner drama within our bubble, but that's to me, that's fun sometimes. Yeah. That's part of the character of it. And it's part of the story. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's when we say we're all connected by water, it's like, that's really what it comes down to. It's like, oh, well, but it does come down to, at least in our circle, just a fisherman, and it's not complicated more than we have to. We'll beat it to death on the show, but we do try to simplify it whenever we can, just like we're doing now. Like, hey,
I'm just a fisherman.
We're not curing diseases here. You know what I mean? We're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to be enthusiasts about our world, really, and just share passion. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, one of the things that I'm enjoying, I don't want to say I feel a little disappointed, because that wouldn't be true. One of the things I always enjoyed when I was still working on boats full time was watching the new generations come up. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm not on the docks every day, I don't get to see all these young kids that are starting up, all these young 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds. But I got to see them on Friday night during the Billfish Foundation. And my girlfriend even asked me, hey, did you win any of those awards when you were fishing? I'm like, they didn't have awards for deckhands when I fished. That's a new thing. Yeah, that's only nice. In the last 10 years.
And it does bring a lot more youth to the table.
I think it's awesome.
That's what you're right. Now that I think about it, there were a lot of young people getting up to receiving awards.
And I thought it was incredible. And there was one captain.
Like Brick's son, Richard Peoples. Yeah, I mean, he's a nice young guy, like very young guy.
Yeah. He brought his two mates up there.
He's great for the sport, that kid.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then you have the one captain that won an award and his mate wasn't there, but he wanted to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
For sure.
Because that's the next generation. It's our responsibility to bring in that next generation.
Yeah, and you talked about the family aspect of it earlier.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of it too. You look at Captain Richard Peoples and his dad Brick, and it's a son of a sailor situation right there. But most of the people that are up on stage grew up in families that influenced them to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's really great to see. And that's one of the things that you say what frustrates you, and what frustrates me too, is I always had this idea that I would, I'm going to open up my studio, I'm going to quit my day job, I'm going to open up my studio, I'm going to paint fish all day long, I'm going to have so much more time for fishing. Couldn't be further from the truth.
Farthest from the truth.
And I'm like, man, it's like I live here. And people are always like, oh, let's go fishing. And I'm like, I can't. I got to get this done. I got to do this. This like right now, like this week, this 2 weeks coming up on the Jimmy Johnson. It's like I got 2 guitars to paint, and I got the city of Pompano breathing down my neck. I got more bridges artwork to do, and they're like, they want that by the end of the month. And I'm just like, when the hell am I going to get all this done?
Green. Just let them use their imagination.
Yeah,
leave it as a blank canvas,
right?
And everybody can paint whatever they want. That's what I said before we started the podcast. Let them use their imagination.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's like that conceptual art, right? Where they have that
why don't you
it's like the new art they have. Like, it's like,
why don't
let's
you
talk about what you think it is?
Why don't you do something with a bunch of kids and let every kid draw their own fish? Imagine 10,000 kids drawing their own fish on something.
I think that sounds better than it would really
It would
be.
really be.
Yeah.
It would be so hard.
Yeah.
But it sounds great.
I just see that as a nightmare for me to handle that many kids.
You know, I'm always looking for things to involve people as a whole. I like to involve people as a whole.
Yeah.
Because,
no, I do. Hey,
yeah, no, and
I do too.
I'm not saying you're talking down on it.
No.
And it does sound like a conceptual nightmare, but imagine 10,000 kids. Okay, you break it down into weekends.
I would need your help.
I would do it.
You want to come down and help me and do that? We can do that. If I have your help, I'll do it.
Okay.
I can get the city involved. I can get the city to go for that.
I'll tell you what. If you get the city involved, I'll capture the whole story, and then we'll put it out on the network.
All right.
And
because here's the thing: when you involve many people into doing the art, there's so many logistics that go into it. You know, I mean, right down to insurance.
Oh no,
and liability. You know what I mean? But then there's also ladders, and there's also just organizing. I'm not going to paint it all. It would just really be just coordinating.
No, but think about it. Where you talk about ladders, you don't want to have a 5-year-old 10 feet up in the air.
No.
But you know what? A 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, so you can have different age levels, almost to make it look like a mountain in Colorado, where you can see the different rings of years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it sounds kind of cool. And kids, depending on how long you leave it up there, 5 years, 10 years, kids will come by and say, I painted that fish. I was telling somebody this story the other day. We're working on a project, and it's a beginning stages of this project, and I'm like, listen, let's give them this asset. Let's just give it to them. Let's let them use it. I want to be a part of it as they're getting their project up off the ground. And I said, 20 years from now, I have a feeling this is going to be something pretty big. And I was talking, and you met my girlfriend on Friday. I was talking to her. I said, I remember, and I performed in the very first Sunfest. Are you familiar with Sunfest?
Mm-hmm.
I performed in the very first Sunfest.
What do you mean?
Sunfest was just a bunch of schools.
Play bass?
No, it was just schools that had the local kids singing. So I was second grade.
What would you sing?
I was choir, man.
Guantanamera.
No. What? I don't even know what the hell I was singing.
Wasn't it a Cuban song?
No, it was white. It was way white, man. Maybe it was Deck the Halls or something. I don't know what it was, but I was singing. But that's all Sunfest was just
no Buena Vista Social Club. No?
Oh my God, I love the Buena Vista Social Club.
I do so much.
You should have a little bit of that in the background.
We should. Then they would demonetize the entire episode.
Oh, son of a bitch! No, we don't want that. But yeah, I performed in it, and now look at it 30-something years later, what it is.
Yeah.
So that's why I always try to look at. Do you shoot a bow and arrow?
I have shot a bow and arrow. I don't make a habit out of it, though.
You're supposed to keep both eyes open. And I always use it as one eye is keeping an eye on your target, and the other eye is looking what's past it, what's beyond it. So that's what I always try to do. It's like I'm building something, but what's it going to become? And when it becomes that, what can I have ready for that time? So
they say that the best, most accurate way to shoot an arrow is to really not hold like the feather in the back or the end.
Yeah, the knot.
Yeah, and to basically let it release itself, to hold it so lightly that you technically don't know when it's going to go off. Rather than let it go. They said that spurt actually will divert your arrow, and you're actually supposed to just breathe steadily and hold it so light that it could go out of your hand at any moment. And that's when it releases itself. You don't release it. They say that's the most accurate way to shoot a bow.
I was just listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan when they were talking about that.
Oh, did they talk about that?
So at night, I can't fall asleep at night without noise. Mm-hmm. Because if not, my brain thinks too much, and then I can't fall asleep. So I fall asleep listening to podcasts. And I'll listen to podcasts 8 hours. If I sleep 8 hours, I'll be listening to a podcast for 8 hours.
Right.
And I don't always pick it up, but sometimes, you come into that lighter sleep and you start listening to it. And I remember listening to...
Oh, it's funny they brought that up.
Yeah, they were talking about it.
What was I going to bring to you? Anyway, yeah. What were you just talking about though before that?
We were talking
The
about
Sunfest,
Sunfest.
right? Yeah, yeah. That has come a long way.
Everything comes a long way, and that it's taken me back to really the point is of those kids painting this mural. If you have everybody just paint their own little fish, what that can do to the city. People keep coming back to it.
I actually like the idea. You know, I had my kids help me paint the Cove mural.
Okay.
So I just got done painting the mural on the side of the Cove, and it was cool because I mean, my daughter especially is a very good artist. So
gets it from your wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Gets
just
it from
checking.
her. 100%. 100%. Definitely not from me. I'm not a good artist. So yeah, no, it was nice having her out to work on that. And the reason I remember that is because you mentioned that whole the kids can look at it years later and say, "Oh yeah, I painted that," and now she gets to look at that. Hopefully, it's up there for a very long time, and say, "Yeah, I did that with my dad." You know,
how awesome is that?
There's parts of the reef that she did on her own that I didn't go back and touch again.
Wow.
Yeah, I let it ride. And she did such a great job on it. But it's kind of cool.
A long
and
way.
she's 12. Yeah.
When you're long gone, she's going to go back over there and say, "I did that with my dad."
Yeah. I'm proud of her. Yeah, and my son came and helped a little bit, and then Liz came out and helped, and she did some work. So we're an art family.
That's good.
Yeah. Everyone really got into it on this project. It was kind of cool.
How many murals have you done in this town?
Oh, I don't know. A lot.
Approximately. More than 100?
No, less than that. That's a lot of murals.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's got to be in the 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I mean, it's yeah. Here's the thing about murals, and me, at least now, is I'm not going to do them unless it's a good project. It's like I used to do a lot of murals. It's probably actually more than 20 if you really think about over time, but maybe some of them have been painted over now because I used to do a lot of them in college.
Okay.
And that's how I would work my way through colleges. I would just do murals and stuff and deliver pizzas. And I worked at BC Surf and Sport, like all at the same time. But
back when we all had energy.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, I mean, I really just, I mean, I have my business here, and this is busy enough. So if it's going to yank me out of here, it better be a very good project because it's taking me away from running this when I do that. So it's very hard to get me out of here. So the Cove mural got me out of here.
So I got a question for you now that you say that, because I know with me in business, I'm always looking for who's going to replace me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I'm doing now, I know that I'm looking for somebody to put in that position so I can go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
You as an artist, that's kind of unique. You really can't put somebody
it's tough.
Yeah. What about, and I know we had some light conversations, how do you look at business to help yourself grow?
So there's different aspects to our business, and there's different buckets that we feel here that where we can expand to where we can build verticals. There's apparel verticals. There's custom licensing, and there's people that can work here that aren't even artists. And to handle assistant jobs or just clerical things, and I can bring in graphic designers to handle some of the things that don't necessarily need fish painted for. Because we do a lot of different design work as well. I think that's one of the things that has separated this studio over time from other quote-unquote marine life artists, which I don't really like that term because I think it really just puts you too much in a box. But one of the things that has really separated us is the fact that I worked for 17 years in the music business as a creative director, and which was a very wide and diverse platform to work on. So we redesigned for a whole bunch of different things. So that really broadened my range, so to speak, over the years. And secondly, I'm very adept digitally, like extremely adept digitally, master level. Don't say that to be cocky. I just say that just to illustrate the fact that when I quit my day job, we felt really strongly about our studio becoming successful because we had that in our back pocket. The fact that, maybe with another marine artist or something, you're just going to get a fish on paper. They had to get it scanned, and yeah, maybe some will work digitally too. They just maybe pick up a copy of Photoshop and they try to use it and they get the hang of it. But we, I've been certified in it. I've been working on Photoshop ever since Photoshop 1, and that's 20 something years ago. And it's just something that I know a lot about. It's something that I've done a lot. It's something I have my 10,000 hours in. So it's like we felt that I saw the need for that in the industry, to have someone who could do the fish and work the other side as well. So it's more of like a one-stop shop kind of full circle deal.
Okay.
So I think that really gave us the advantage early on, coming out of the gate when I left the day job. So I can take different aspects of that and possibly farm that to other designers and really understand how to creative direct them in a way that's advantageous to helping me. I don't know if that answers the question,
that answers
but,
now.
Yeah.
But that leads me to another question.
Mm-hmm. Now I don't do everything digitally, but far from it. I mean, the murals hand painted. Every original piece of work I do is hand painted, just like the sword there. But when it comes to doing things like apparel or things for like practical usage or like things that businesses need, being digitally adept is very helpful.
When you quit your day job,
mm-hmm.
taking that leap of faith, how hard was it?
So there was a moment that happened at work where Liz and I have been talking for a few years about leaving. And we were just waiting for the right opportunity. We wanted to have 2 kids, and we wanted to do that on the company benefits, because having a kid with no insurance or any benefits,
it's tough.
It's very expensive. So I remember just before my son was born, which would have been our second kid, a different company was coming in to merge with our company. And I said to Liz, this might be our opportunity, because there's going to be mirrored positions all over the place. They're going to come to my department and want to cut heads, right? And at the time, I had about 12 people working for me in my department. At our height in the music business, I had like 20-something people in my department working for me. So, sure enough, they came. They wanted to cut heads, and we were prepared. I said, I have a better idea. Why don't you just fire me, because my salary would be the equivalent of those 4 heads that they wanted to cut. And they're like, what? We don't want, I'm like, no. And then I laid out my plan. I'm like, listen, I worked for you for 17 years. You know me. I know you. They don't know me. Tell them I'm horrible. I don't care what you say. Lay me off. I'd like the severance. And they did. So for the first 6 months of opening the studio, I was getting paid for my old company. And that's really what helped us go. So I was a little scared, but at least I had the security of that. But it is kind of like you step off a building, right? And you're like,
it's a leap of faith.
But there's a cloud that lifts you up, right? And that cloud's going to not bring you up so high as the building yet, but then you eventually have to step off of that, and then you step onto another cloud. There's always going to be something there to lift you up. And you just have to have faith in it. And this goes out to anyone listening to this that's thinking about
that's why I'm asking
you. Following their whole dream and everything. Like, no matter how far you think you're going to fall, there's always going to be someone in your life around you to lift you up. And you just got to lean on them. That's it. And that's how you make it happen. Yeah. And bust your ass.
You have to bust your ass.
There's no way around that.
You have to bust your ass.
And no one's going to give you anything. In fact, there's going to be people that are definitely going to try to knock you down. And we have experienced that so much here. I mean, I have personally. Yeah. I mean, I have, even up until now, like even in the past like year or two, like I've had people that have just tried to really rip and tear into me and just bring this whole operation down. I don't know why. I'm just painting fish. You know what I mean? But there are people that want to destroy you.
They want to,
and it's sad. It's really unfortunate. And because listen, I'm a laid back guy. I just want to paint fish. I want to provide for my family. You know what I mean? And I want to try to be the best I can be. And I don't understand like the more good things you do, the more people are out there that's just trying to knock it down. And I will never understand that. It's like people don't want you to be successful. I don't get it.
They want to see you become successful. They don't want to see you stay successful.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Oh, man, congratulations. Now you're on top. Oh, well.
Yeah.
But and the reason why I ask is I get a lot of people call me up about, they have their little side hustles and they're trying to do something. And it's like, when should I? It's like, I can't tell you when to jump.
Yeah.
You got to know when's comfortable for you. But I promise you one thing: if you don't, that feeling of regret is going to be way worse than if you hit the ground.
That's why we did it. At the time, I was 40, and I was like looking at 40. And I was looking at, oh, now we have kids. And I'm like, well, if not now, then when? Like, if not now, then when? And what am I going to do when I'm 45, when I'm 49? Then I'm going to feel like, man, I should have done this way sooner.
Exactly.
And even at 40, I was like, there were reasons why I waited until then, the family reasons, like you were saying, we wanted to kind of do that. But I could have left at 35. I could have left at 30 and done it. Sometimes I regret not leaving earlier, but it's all right. It is what it is. But going back to everything I explained to you before about what I learned in that environment really gave us an advantage outside of the environment. I don't regret it when I look at it that way.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. So, you make it when you feel most comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing.
At least you did it. How many people on their deathbed would have said, man, I wish I would have?
I can't imagine ever having a job now.
Oh, no way.
I mean, for the rest of my life. I mean, there's no way.
Jobs? No way. Yeah. I love projects. Projects are
like, that's what we do. We work on projects.
I work on projects.
That's it. We work on projects.
People call me up. Hey, let's do something. Okay, we'll do this project.
Mm-hmm.
If I like working with you, we'll do another one. If not, no harm, no foul. We walk on.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is I got to have fun. If I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it.
See, that's been the struggle for us the last couple of years is it got to a point where it was so consistently busy and it was so tough to handle all the work, really, that it got very stressful to the point where projects weren't getting done at their deadline, and and then that frustrates me, and then just dedicating like too many overtime hours into getting everything done, and it becomes hard then, really hard, and but you get to this point, especially as an artist, where it's kind of like you feel like a dog, and what I mean by that, like a hungry dog. And the problem with a hungry dog, and the reason dogs eat the way they do, is because they have that mentality that that's going to be their last meal. And that's why they eat the way they do. And it's a survival instinct, right? So as an artist, we're kind of bred and taught that this isn't supposed to happen all the time. This is just,
take as much as you can.
You take as much as you can while you can, exactly. And that's an issue that I think artists need to overcome. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I speak in the blanket term when I say that. I think most artists are like that. Unless they have some sort of financial security that backs them where they could just say, fuck it. But most of us don't. I grew up on the other side of the tracks. It's the youngest of 6 kids. My dad was an AC man. You know what I mean? We weren't rich by any stretch of the means. So I still have that method of like, man, I busted my ass. I earned every damn penny that I have. And, no one gave me anything. And, and it's a lot of times it's tough to shake that mentality. But really at the end of the day, I've learned to grow with it now at this point. And I'm getting better at handling that. And the biggest, most hated word that I have is no.
Oh my God, that is I hate that word.
So it's really tough for me to say. And I've got to do a better job of saying no. These 2 guys yell at me about it all the time. They're like, you got to stop. They tell me this all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know.
I can tell people no. I just hate the word no.
Yeah.
Listen, like I told you, I had to cancel everything for January and February. I had people calling me up. Hey, I'm interested in talking to you about doing these 6 events. I'm like, I'm not taking anything in 2023.
Yeah.
If you want, we can talk about 2024, but right now, 2023, I'm not putting anything extra.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's what I got to. This forced rest that I recently had, and many talks by my wife to me, right, have really opened my eyes a little bit about, wow, I just took like weeks off here, or some time off, and I guess it wasn't so bad. I didn't get everything done. You know what I mean? Like the sun's still shining, food's still in bellies, and we're all happy, and it's good. And my kids are just happy. My wife's just happy that the
you get
procedure
to come home.
that I'm home and healthy, and that's really all that matters. So,
as important as we want to think we are, we're all replaceable.
Yeah, it's true.
If we were to die tomorrow, my girlfriend, she's a doctor. She's a equine vet. And her thing is always, oh, my patient's this and horses. And I'm like, listen, I understand that's your business and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I go, but you jumping over backwards for everybody, if something were to happen to you, they'd replace you.
Yeah.
Take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life.
It's true. The poet Robert Frost summed up life in 3 words. It goes on.
Absolutely. Enjoy it. Take a moment. Look around. Do something you like to do. Don't do it just because. Do it because you like to do it. And if you don't like doing it, go find something else.
Yep. That's it.
People, it's amazing that people will give up freedom for safety.
Yep. God only gives you so much, but he gives you enough, right? And he puts you here for only so long.
He only puts you here for so long. And he won't give you something without giving you the tools to get through it.
Right.
So if you're going through a hard time, it's because you got to learn something.
That's true. There's a lot of
learning something.
Yeah, there's a lot of his will, his plan in that, and I believe that. I do, and sometimes you just gotta, like, full disclosure, like when I was sitting there laying on the table ready to go for that procedure, right, when the second one, and I basically, like, the prayer I said to God wasn't, oh, save me, or oh, it was me, or woe is me, or, you know what I mean? I basically said, listen, you've got a plan. Thank you for including me in your plan. Let it be your will. Let it be your will. Yeah. And that's all I said. And that was the only prayer I said. I said, I'm in your hands, buddy. That's it. And I didn't, because I don't believe that. I talked about this recently on our last episode with John Van Dellen. Like, God doesn't cut deals. He's got a plan, and you're part of it, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So,
I was. This has been a while because I was still on the real tight at the time. I was involved in a bank robbery.
And what? Really?
Yeah, you can look it up. There's a picture of me on the ground, the whole 9 yards.
Come on.
Yeah. And I looked up and I saw the guy. Looked him right in the eyes, right as he closed the doors. There's 2 guys. I was standing next to the bank.
Dude, that must have been freaky.
It wasn't even freaky until I started fishing 4 days later. Because my body was such in shock. It was just something that happened. I was sitting there talking to the assistant manager. Guy comes in with a gun, wearing a motorcycle helmet, points the gun at me and her. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Again, not comprehending it. And next thing you know, a bike rides in behind him, another guy on a bike. He grabs a girl, pulls her across my chest, towards the door. I'm like, maybe I should lie down. Let me get down. So I get down and I crawl away because I was in between the door and the bike. So as I'm crawling away, I
come out to the coast, have a few laughs.
So I hear the door closing and I look up and I see the other guy walking right at me.
Wow.
And he looks down at me. I look up at him. I look my head down and I'm like, fuck, I saw him. He knows I saw him because I saw his eyes. So I lowered my head. I'm like, God, if this is the time, this is the time. Would I change anything? And literally, they say your life flashes in front of you. I thought about everything in my life.
Really?
Everything. And I'm like, because, again, I'm not married. I have no children.
Think about when you were singing at Sunfest?
No. I can't even remember what song I was singing at Sunfest. But I remembered I sat there and I thought to myself, is there anything that I would change? And I said no.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I heard the guy come out of from the back, jump on the bike, leave. And yeah, it was that moment of, okay, God, if this is the time to go, would I change anything? Nope. Okay, all good.
Man, how long did you lay there after they left?
Oh, I immediately jumped up because I heard one of the bankers, who's my best friend, yell, "Lock the doors, nobody in or out." So I popped up off the ground and he looks right at me. He goes, "Navarro, what the fuck are you still doing here?"
Really?
And I'm like, I'm asking myself the same question, man. I'm asking myself the same question.
Oh, man.
So they ended up catching him.
Dude, that's messed up. They did catch him?
Yeah, it was. So the girl that I was talking,
It's got to be so hard to rob a bank and get away with it.
Well, it was funny because I had asked.
That's federally insured money. They want their money. It's not like it's someone else's money.
Yeah,
they're going to get their money back.
I talked to the FBI. When they were interviewing me, they're like, "Are you okay?" I says, "Yeah, I'm just kind of shocked. I'm trying to think, should I have done anything different?" And she's like, "Listen, we're professionals, and one thing that we're taught in a bank robbery, just let them take the money.
Right.
We'll find them later." And sure enough, less than 24 hours, they had all three of them arrested.
Yeah.
The third one was the girl I was talking to. It was an inside job.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was her boyfriend pointing the gun at us.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's nuts. Goes to show you. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Enjoy every
That's
last minute, man.
Yeah.
You don't get a second ticket for this ride. Enjoy it the best you fucking can, man.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. I was on a podcast the other day.
And just live by the golden rule, man. Just be cool to people.
I treat people the way I like to be treated.
Yeah.
I treat everybody nice. You know, I might bust some chops because that's what I do.
Sure.
But
well, that's what makes life fun.
Exactly. But no, I go into it enjoying every last minute. That's why I don't do things with people I don't have fun with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, we didn't have a good time. That's fine. All good. Peace out. I'll go somewhere else. You know, but if we have a good time, let's do it again. You know, as long as it doesn't cost me any money.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to have a good time. So that's what a lot of people, that's going back to what we said earlier, people chasing money. I don't chase money. I chase a good time.
That's my big struggle. I mean, not my big struggle chasing money is my big struggle of, you know, my mom said to my wife when I first introduced her, when we were boyfriend, girlfriend, she pulls her aside and she goes, you know, Dennis is never going to be rich. She's like, what? She goes, he gives away the world. She goes, it's a good and bad trait. So that's always my struggle. And so I'm just like, I just wanted the same thing. I just want to do things for the right reasons and do it because I love it. And you know what I mean? I get so much joy from giving. And it's
what exactly is rich? What exactly is rich?
You know, I know you're saying, but I'm talking about like money.
Yeah, but
you know?
but still, after you can pay your bills, then what? Well, I mean, you got a roof over your head.
Mm-hmm.
You can take care of yourself if you get sick. After that, what's rich? I mean, is it to be able to own your own plane? Okay, maybe that's to you.
I don't have anything to do with that.
Maybe rich. I mean, to me, one of the things I consider rich is there's not a place in this country and maybe this planet that I can't go to and pick up the phone and call somebody and say, let's go fishing.
Yeah.
And on my way here, somebody called me up and wants to go to, they're stopping, they have a layover in Cairo, and somebody says, call Fly. He'll know about Cairo. And I was in Cairo right before COVID, and I went out fishing over there.
Here's the thing, dude. The one way you figure out if you're in the right path in life is you got to ask yourself, if you won the lottery, a shit ton of money, what would you change about your life?
Absolutely fucking
nothing.
If
you can say that, then you're in the right spot in the world. And I can say that. I would not stop being a painter. Yeah. It's not what I do, it's what I am.
You're a marine lifestyle artist.
Right. Stop it. No, but seriously, the only thing I would change is I would fish more, right? And I wouldn't paint for money anymore. I would paint and raise money every painting to give to the needy. That would be my path. I should probably do that anyway. But that's what I would do. I would, like, this painting this week goes to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And I would auction it off and raise the money and see how much money we could raise with every painting. Right? Because I would have my money to live. I would be set at that point. Right? And I wouldn't need to really sell my work. So that's the only thing I would change about my life. if I won the lottery. That's it. I would fish more and I would donate all my work. And just keep painting.
I like to work.
No, that's what I'm saying. I like to work. I would keep painting.
That's all,
but I wouldn't paint for survival or for money anymore. Because that affects your work. You know? Because then you're basically doing it for others for their thing or whatever, you know. And I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do custom work anymore.
Do you do work for anybody you don't like?
Not really.
So
I mean, most of the people that we deal with are all cool. That's the best part of this industry, is I don't really have to deal with that many assholes. I really don't.
And if you,
I love my clientele.
Yeah,
I really do.
And if you had an asshole, you wouldn't paint for him.
Right.
You're busy.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm busy enough now to where I do pick and choose my clients.
There you go.
So
you're interviewing them.
Yeah.
That
is a very fortunate part about what I do.
Yeah. Well, it's also you've worked your ass to get there.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a slave to your customers.
Mm-mm. But if you're looking at I'll be 50 in a year, right? And if I won the lottery within the next 5 years, then I'd be looking at the second half of my life, and I would just paint for kids at that point.
Man, you're doing pretty good if you think you're after 50 is your second half of your life. I figured anything after 40, I was at the second half.
Well, you know what I mean.
You know,
like you're looking down at the last phase right there. You know.
That's why I'm working my ass off, because there's so many things I want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get them before I die, and I don't know when I'm dying.
Right.
So I don't want to take my time. I don't want to say, I'll take Saturday off. No, it could be my last Saturday. I better do everything I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to push it off. This ain't a government job. This is the real deal, man.
Right.
I don't want to push it off. I'll get to it next weekend. No, I want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Somebody else is working right now. Fuck that. I'm not going to let somebody pass me.
Well, that's a good attitude to have there.
Yeah. I don't know. It keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
At least for me, it keeps me motivated.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, I have the same thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Retire? And do what? Go fishing?
Oh, I can't retire. I don't think I'm ever going to retire.
I don't want to retire.
I can't see myself ever retiring.
Retiring is just waiting to die.
I just can't. I mean, I'm a painter for the rest until my... There will be an unfinished painting when I'm dead. There will be a half-finished painting, I guarantee you.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong. I see
that
no
one
other
will
way.
be worth the most.
Yeah, I see no other way. So, anyway, we got to go.
All right.
So,
did we already run up to 2 hours or hour and a half or something?
I don't know. Yeah. So
we do good. We do good for 2 hours usually.
Yeah,
we're good for 2 hours.
Yeah.
One thing I have no problem with is talking. Anybody that knows me knows.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, it's always nice having you on. Really, it always makes for a great episode. It always makes for a good conversation. I mean, anytime we get together, regardless, but
we end up chatting.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out before we go.
Who are we shouting out?
2 shout outs.
2.
To these guys here. So, number 1, right? Nick he went down and fished with Elmer this past weekend down there in Everglades City. Right, and you guys had a banner day, right? Catching poons and snooks and redfish, and you got yourself a slam and all that, and all on fly, right? So
I just realized what it said on his hat.
Free fly. Yeah, you need that. You need that hat. Yeah.
Free fly.
Yeah, so we'll be heading down to fish with Elmer in April. It looks like so. Perfect. I'll be getting a taste of that, so I can't wait. And I want to officially congratulate Yanni and your wife.
Did you have a baby?
They got married.
Oh, that's even better.
Right?
Congratulations.
So he is officially
off the market.
Ball and chained. Yep.
Shackled down.
Yep. So.
Listen, man. I'm a unicorn. 50 years old, never married, no children. Ever.
Which is, you'd be such a great dad too.
You know what? I love children.
Yeah.
I just didn't want any of my own, but I'm the world's greatest uncle.
You definitely wouldn't be able to travel like you do.
Oh, no.
That's for sure.
Now, did you see me leave the other day from the Billfish Foundation? I had 20.
I did not see you leave. I went to go say one last goodbye to you, and I didn't know where you were. So.
I had 21 boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
Stop it.
So Peter Chabanzai post up on Facebook.
He'll be coming on the show pretty soon, yeah.
He's a great dude.
I haven't set the date yet, but within the next few weeks.
He posted up on Facebook, anybody looking for Girl Scout cookies? My daughter's selling them, so I went online and I bought $100 worth.
Oh, good for you.
And I put in there Uncle Fly. And they asked me the name of my company, and I put Jolly. What is it? Jolly Uncle Society. So
nice, good for you. You got any extra left in your truck?
Not in my truck. They're all inside the house.
All right.
Yeah, I've got like 3 different flavors on my TV stand next.
Really? I got to go buy myself some Thin Mints. That's always my weakness.
What the Samoas are my favorite.
Samoas are good too.
Every year, Publix does a Samoa ice cream.
Do they really?
Yeah. It's after Girl Scout season. I think they buy up all the boxes and they make Samoa ice cream. It's good. Vanilla with just Samoa cookies in there.
Yeah.
So what's your big sign off that you said you're not going to do anymore?
Oh, so I mean,
let's do it now. This is the last one.
This is the last one.
Last one.
All right. This is going to be our last sponsor sign off, because we're not going to do the big sponsor sign off on the end. We're going to do more front loaded episode sponsor mentions and not do it at the end, because at the end it gets really drawn out.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you better enjoy this. This is the last one.
If you're in the market for a new truck or vehicle, go ahead and call our buddies over there at Joey Carty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and they will hook you up. I cannot say for sure, but if you go in there and you mention that you heard about them through the Connected by Water podcast, you're pretty much going to get a better deal than anybody else.
Do not mention my name, because they're going to charge you an extra 20%.
Right. There you go. See, so they have the all-new Wagoneer. I was actually in there today, right, because I was leasing my truck before, and I bought it out. I loved it so much. So I was in there today, and in their showroom, I mean, they got the sickest cars on the planet. I mean, those SRT, Hellcat, Challengers and Chargers, and the SRT Durangos, and they had a TRX in there. There was like some sick vehicles.
A T-Rex?
A TRX.
I just call it T-Rex, man.
Right. It's
just like from
710 horsepower in that thing. Yeah, it's a beast. It really is a beast. So anyway, go ahead and I used to say call Dean. Why don't you go ahead I got a new name for you. All right, nothing wrong with Dean. Dean does a great job, but I'm going to say call Joe Wires. Wyers. He is the sales manager there. When I saw him today, he said, just send people directly my way. We'll take care of them.
Damn.
Right?
You're going to shout out Papa's Pilar.
I am going to shout out Papa's Pilar Rum, because I am so proud to be part of the Papa's Pilar family. Right? They are definitely keeping the Hemingway tradition alive. And I cannot say enough about not only the rum, because it's a great product. I personally think that the sherry cask is the best there is. But some people just prefer the traditional dark. They have their rye whiskey that just came out, and they're it's a top-notch product, but even better than a product of the people that run the show there. So Steve, Mike, all those guys
I'm
over
glad
there.
to see
Johnny,
that they got Mike there.
Yeah, Johnny, Nick Doyle, like all those guys are just off the charts. When you're part of the Papa's Pilar family, trust me, you know it. Yeah, so they've been nothing but treating me like family. So can't say enough about it. I want to give a shout out to our good friends over there at Finora Sunglasses, keeping another tradition alive in the beautiful Finora family. These are the frames that I have here, and I love them. They're very well constructed, put together glasses, and we're very proud to be part of them. And also, we mentioned the W sauce earlier, and I can't say enough about it. You have to really try this. There's the Fire Shire, there's the Vegan Shire, but I am just particularly in love with America's Worcestershire. That is the name of the line there.
What's that here?
It's called America's Worcestershire for the W sauce, and we put that on everything. And like I said, my wife couldn't find it this weekend, and one of the things that we love doing is we get those roasted chickens from Publix, and then the Publix popcorn chicken, and we just like dip it in the W sauce like all weekend long. And she just like was flipping out, like going through withdrawals. She's like, you need to drive back to the studio and go get more W sauce. I'm like, I'm not driving back, but thanks. Anyway, it's really good stuff. You got to give it a shot. Right? If you're hungry and you're in the area, why don't you go ahead and run over to Papa's Raw Bar right?
I love Papa's Raw Bar.
Right over to Papa's Raw Bar and order something off the Connected by Water inspired sushi menu. And there is a Connected by Water roll that you can have. There's a Takizi roll, there's a Surreal roll, OCD roll, all kinds of rolls over there that are named locally, and they're fresh and they're great. And I'm telling you, it's the best sushi in town, hands down. So, and I think we are done with the shout out. Oh, thank you to Starbright, right, for providing us with the bucket and providing us with highlighted people that we can focus on the do-gooders that are doing good in your area. If you do have a do-gooder, reach out to us on social media at CRedWine, SEA Redwine, right, to get Corey Redwine's Instagram, or at starbright_com, or at Dennis Friel Art, or at Connected by Water. You don't have to message us all. You just have to message one to make a nomination for someone if you think they are a do-gooder. And if we think they are a do-gooder, then we will reward them with a bucket full of stuff worth over $200. So, Fly Navarro,
Dennis Friel,
thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for asking me to come here.
It's really been very therapeutic having you in here and just thank you for being my ear today of hearing about my health stories.
Listen, we're all getting to that same age, man. So we all have to talk about it.
Right. All right. Your ego is not your amigo.
No.
Always do your best, and at the end of the day, just let God do the rest, and do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are all connected by water.
Amen.